Hi, thanks for joining me on this Masterclass webinar. I'm Jordan Fry from the Prudent Plastic Surgeon, and I'm going to share with you everything I wish I knew about personal finance. More specifically, I'm going to give you the 12 steps to financial freedom for physicians. Let's go over real quickly what's going to be covered in this webinar. I'm going to give you a quick review of how I got to where I am today. And I'm going to share with you my proven 12 steps for physicians to increase your financial well-being and reach financial freedom. Then I'm going to give you an overview of my physician finance course with 2 big bonuses available only through watching this webinar. So first, a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York in the snow, as you can see there. I'm married to my wife, Selenide, who's a college professor. And we have 2 boys under the age of 3, Samuel on the left and Emery on the right. I did my residency and fellowship in plastic surgery and microsurgery at NYU from 2013 to 2020. And then I started my current job at Erie County Medical Center in the University of Buffalo in July of 2020. But more important to this talk, I was totally and utterly financially clueless until April of 2020. But I now manage all aspects of my own finances. And in 1 year, I managed to turn my net worth from negative $450,000 to $400,000. And I increased my net worth by about $250,000 before I ever made my first attending paycheck. And so if I can do this, you can do this too. And that's what I'm here to show you. And this is what really makes me an expert, is that I've made all of the financial mistakes out there. I deferred all of my huge student loan burden of $500,000 throughout my entire training. I built up credit card debt. I had a savings rate of 0%. I had no savings and no investments. So I'm going to show you the 12 steps to financial freedom for physicians, how I took myself from that financial cluelessness to increasing my net worth by about $1 million. And this is a prerequisite. I'm not going to include this as one of my steps, but you need to get the right professional insurance. And I'll go over briefly this here, although it could be a talk unto itself. You need life insurance if someone, like a spouse, partner, or kids, depends on your income. And you want term-only insurance, not whole life insurance. You need disability insurance, and you want own occupation disability insurance if you are not financially free, meaning you need to work for a living, so that if you get hurt, you can keep making a living. You need malpractice insurance if you're actively practicing medicine, and you need umbrella insurance if you have assets. Well, let's get into the steps. The first is starting your financial education, and this is exactly what I did. This was step number 1 for me, and it should be for you too. You want to pick out one financial book per year to read. What I did was I picked a financial book. I started with The Millionaire Next Door, and I read 10 pages a day. So this is really very manageable, and I started doing this, and before I knew it, I picked up a lot of tips about finances that I could start to employ. You also want to pick one financial blog and read 1 post per day. I used to do this in between OR cases or in the morning when I got up, and that's what I still do today. And if you do this for a month, you'll be amazed at how much you learn. You also want to pick 1 podcast to listen to once a week on your drive or walk to work, and invest in yourself. Get comfortable with that concept of investing in yourself. The money that I've spent on my financial education and well-being has had the greatest return of anything that I've done so far. Step number 2 is going to be establishing your big why. This may be the most important step. And the reason why is money is a tool. If you create a goal of achieving financial freedom, but you don't have a big why as to why you want to get there, when you do get there, it's going to feel empty and hollow and could potentially contribute to worse burnout. Your why is going to be the reason why you want to achieve financial freedom and have financial well-being. For instance, my why is that I want to gain financial well-being to enhance my overall well-being, spend more time with my family and friends, and pursue my passion, a big part of which is plastic surgery on my own terms. I don't want to reach financial freedom to retire at this point. I just started working. But I do know about myself, and I believe this is true for most of us, that we're a lot happier when we're working because we want to, not because we have to. Step 3 is learning to keep score. Net worth is your scorecard for wealth. And one huge mistake that physicians make all the time is they think that their wealth is their income. But income is not listed on any net worth calculator. If you have $1 million a year coming in, but you spend $1 million, your net worth is zero. If you make $1 million, but you spend $2 million, your net worth is negative $1 million. So it really doesn't matter how much you make, but how you use that money. And in really simple terms, your net worth is equal to your assets, which are the things you own that put money in your pocket, minus your liabilities, which are the things you own that take money out of your pocket. And once you know how to keep score, you can play the game. When I first looked at my net worth and calculated it, it was greater than negative $500,000. And I didn't like seeing that number, but once I did see it, I was able to start learning how to increase it. I learned what I was doing that was helping it, and more importantly, what I was doing that hurt it. And I could change my habits to start making it better, which is exactly what I did. Step 4 is paying off debt. And I know you're all probably saying, wait, isn't this masterclass about making money? But the first step when you're in a hole is to stop digging. And each dollar of debt that you pay off is a dollar that your net worth increases. And few to no other investments have this immediate one-to-one relationship. And I am a believer in interest arbitrage, which means you can invest money a lot of times for a higher rate than the debt you're paying off. However, my argument is always that I've never met anyone that's been upset paying off their debt. And paying off your debt increases your cash flow and relieves a huge financial burden from your life and increases your financial well-being a huge amount. I'm still paying off my student loans, but I've paid off about $100,000 in my first year as an attending, and that's increased my net worth by $100,000. You also want to budget. And I get a lot of pushback about budgeting because people don't like to do it or have a real negative association with budgeting. But I'm going to recommend you do it Nike style, which is just do it. Your budget is your treasure map. And pirates don't hate their treasure map. The treasure map leads you to your treasure, and that's what a budget is. So you're going to create a budget where you go through your monthly expenses and you determine how much you want to be paying of your income to all of your expenses. And you're going to pay yourself first. And I have a very simple system to do this, which I'm happy to show you. And within this budget, you want to make sure that you create a savings of at least 20% of your gross pre-tax income. This is going to create a lifelong habit, especially if you're starting it early on in residency. But the formula to build wealth is to increase and invest the margin. What's the margin? The margin is what you make minus what you spend. You want to make your margin at least 20%. Mine is now 43 to 50%, depending on the month. But if you do at least 20%, you're going to be in really good position. So the next logical step is once you create this margin and you have savings, you need to use the right investing strategy to flip the margin. Because if you're just hiding the money under your mattress, you're actually losing money due to inflation. So what are the right strategies to flip the margin? Well, there's a lot of them, but the best one is to use index funds. And I'll go into a brief review of this. When you're investing in the stock market, if you invest in an individual stock, it's like a horse race. You're betting on a horse race. Think many years ago, people who bought Apple, today they're really happy because they made a lot of money from that. But people who chose to invest in Enron are really unhappy because they lost all of their money. And guess what? No one's able to predict the future, no matter what algorithms or what data they show you. So in converse to that, the overall stock market over any long-term period has always gone up. And you only want to be investing money that you don't need in the short term, that you can invest for the long term. Index funds allow you to invest in an overall index of the entire stock market or a large sector of it. And that is a very safe way to invest. There are index funds for stocks, for bonds, and there's even for real estate, something called real estate investment trusts. So what you want to do is figure out your asset allocation, which is the percent of your investments, your investment portfolio, that is going to go into stocks, bonds, and real estate. Invest in these index funds. And then once a year, just go back and rebalance back to your predetermined percentages. And that's going to ensure that you're always selling high and buying low, which is the way to make money in the stock market. You also want to make sure that you invest in the right places. And remember, it's a waterfall. So we talked about how to invest, but now we need to talk about where to invest. So what you may be thinking of as an investment account is usually a taxable account, which is an account that you open up with a brokerage that you can do today at any point. And the money that goes in is taxed, and then you invest it. And then when the money comes out, it's taxed again. So you're investing that money, but you're taking a double tax hit. There are accounts available to you that don't have that double tax hit. Things like your retirement accounts, which are usually 401k or 403bs. In these accounts, the money is not taxed when it goes in, is invested, and then taxed when it comes out. For high income earners, there's also currently something available called the backdoor Roth IRA, which is a way to invest a certain amount of money every year where it gets taxed up front and then never taxed again. There's also health savings accounts, which are accounts that are actually triple tax free. And then there are taxable accounts, which after you exhaust all these other options are a great way to invest, and there are tax efficient strategies to do so. Step 9 is increasing your compensation. So I shared earlier that the way to make money is by growing your margin, and the margin is what you make minus what you spend. The beautiful thing is what you spend is 100% under your direct control. So you can control that, and that's by doing things like budgeting and creating a savings rate like we talked about. But you also want to increase your compensation, increase what you make. And the ways to do this are to make sure you get the best contract. And this can be the best contract when you're coming out or when you're renegotiating your contract. And there's a lot of steps to this, but the most important one is to know your value. Because the people you're negotiating with, they definitely know your value. They know exactly what they think you're worth. You need to know that as well. You also need to know why you're worth more than that. And you also want to optimize your practice. This is probably the aspect that most physicians lose out on the most money from. You want to make sure your expenses are down and that the way that you're making money is completely optimized. And this goes regardless for employed physicians or physicians who own their own practice. I'm an employed physician, and I've used this to increase what I make a significant amount. You also can consider a side gig. And this is something that I talk a lot about, and I obviously do through this blog, as well as investing in real estate. And this is a great option to increase your compensation, which allows you to have a greater margin and greater investments and accelerate your path to financial freedom. And you may be saying, I'm a physician, I don't want another job. The beauty of these is it's leveraged income. Your money that you make as a physician is tied one-to-one to your effort. But leveraged income is not tied one-to-one to your effort. It largely becomes automated when you do it the right way, like I have with my real estate investments, for example. And then this becomes passive income that you can use, again, to accelerate your path to financial freedom. Step 10 is that you want to spend intentionally. And this is something that doctors in general do a horrible job at. And what this means is when you're making a purchase, you need to consider an equation in your head. Whether the purchase is big or small, you want to decide, is the joy from the purchase greater than the price tag? Or is the joy from the purchase less than the price tag? If this purchase fits in your financial plan and allows you to reach your financial goals, and the joy from the purchase is greater than the price tag, you should buy it. Whether the price tag is high or low, it doesn't matter. If the joy from the purchase is less than the price tag, then you should walk away. Also, you should learn to wait before you make especially big purchases. Science shows that you enjoy the things you wait for more. So I'll give an example of this. Initially, when I was coming out of training and about to be an attending, I had budgeted a lot of money for a luxury car lease. But the thing about me is I actually don't care about cars. I'm not a car person. And that's okay if you are. I think that's fantastic. But for me, I'm not. So why was I going to be spending $1,000 a month for something that wasn't going to bring me that commensurate joy? So instead, I ended up buying a used Toyota Avalon, which is very reliable and serves me very well for what I need it to. And I use that money elsewhere, either to spend intentionally to bring me joy or to help me on my path to financial freedom. And again, if the joy I got from the car was greater than the price tag, then in that case, I could have done it. But it's about going through that mental calculation to determine what purchases are worth it for you and not just spend reflexively. Step 11 is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. We all know people in medicine, and there are simplifiers and there are complexifiers in medicine. And the same thing happens in finance. There's people who break it down to simple component and easy to implement parts. And then there are people who complexify things to the point where it seems that no one is able to do it unless you're a full-blown expert. Whether it's in the OR or in finance, I've always gravitated towards the simplifiers, and I've always found that they've been more successful. So find simplifiers and learn from them. For instance, and this is plastic surgery lingo, if you can raise a deep flap or do a rhinoplasty or nose job, you can learn to manage your finances and invest. Same thing goes for any physician. If you can manage lung disease or fix a knee, you can learn to manage your finances and invest. Remember, I went from zero knowledge at all about finances, to managing my own finances in a few months, to increasing my net worth by $1 million in 1 year. And the last step is you want to develop your written personal financial plan. If the budget's your treasure map, this is an even bigger treasure map to a bigger treasure. This is a plan that you write out that shows you your financial goals and how you're going to achieve them through your investments. And the first step is creating your financial goals and priorities. Then you describe your investment plan to get there and write out what you will and won't do investing on the way. Once you have this, you have your path. You have written out how you're going to reach financial freedom, and all you have to do is follow it. And that's such a good feeling. And that's what helped me significantly increase my financial well-being and improve my burnout when I was burned out at the end of my training. This is an example from my wife and my financial plan showing our financial priority list. So as I've gone through those 12 steps, I want you to think if any of this sounds familiar. We know physicians are experiencing burnout at an alarming rate. And you're probably frustrated like I was by lack of autonomy and ability to practice and live on your own terms. And despite being a high income earner, your financial well-being and net worth are not where they should be. So you want to learn to master your finances on the fast track to financial freedom so you can get results right away. And that's what I wanted as well. Well, there's two ways to do this. You can do this the hard way. You can scour the internet for blogs, posts, podcasts, and forums, and invest hundreds of hours putting together the pieces and test various investment strategies to see what works. This way takes potentially years to figure out. And then there is the right way to do it, which is to find a real full-time physician who has successfully done this, to get access to their proven system and personalized strategies, and spend weeks instead of years developing and implementing your plan, and start seeing huge gains in your journey to financial freedom. And that's exactly what I've created with my course, Graduating to Success. This course is an A to Z blueprint for creating financial freedom for physicians. The course promises to help you reach your financial goals and achieve financial freedom, no matter where you're starting out today. And I personally teach this course over 8 easy to learn and implement modules. So even if you're brand new to personal finance like I was, this is a hands-on course that guides and teaches you to thrive rather than just survive as an attending physician, personally, professionally, and financially. And in this course, I've created 8 modules, as I've shown here, to boost your journey to well-being and financial freedom that I personally guide you through. And here's an inside look at Module 5, which is Investing Your Money 101 and beyond, where we go over these 9 important concepts in both video and alternative content structures. Why should you buy this now? Well, there are special bonuses for you, the people who are watching this webinar. The first bonus is a bonus module on real estate investing for physicians that describes the actual real estate investing strategies that I use to buy and invest in cash flow multifamily properties. You also get access to a private community of like-minded physician learners and 24/7 email access. I respond personally to every question and every email within 24 hours. You also get a free one-on-one 60-minute coaching session with me. So by signing up today, you also get lifelong membership for as long as this course exists. In the near future, I'm going to increase the course price. But during this launch window, you will lock in this introductory price for lifelong access. So this webinar special that's good for today only will allow you to get everything that I just discussed, the course and all of the bonuses, for a total investment of only $999. So click on the button at the bottom of this page to sign up and get instant lifetime access to everything in this course, plus all of the bonuses, including the bonus module on real estate investing, one-on-one coaching session with me, and private Facebook group access. There's also a 7-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like the course or feel that you're getting as much as you want out of it after 7 days, you can email me and you'll get refunded completely with no questions asked. And these bonuses are a one-time offer through this webinar only. Otherwise, they go away. You can also email me anytime at jordan@prudentplasticsurgeon.com if you have any questions about the course or anything else. Thank you for joining me for this webinar, and I hope to see you soon.